On the night of March 8, 2014, a large Boeing 777 takes off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The destination is Beijing. There are 239 people on board: passengers, crew members, and 2 pilots with decades of flying experience. The weather is clear. The plane is on schedule. Everything looks completely normal. No one on the ground has any reason to worry. In the cockpit, the captain gives a calm and routine sign-off to air traffic controllers. His last recorded words are simple and professional. The passengers in the cabin are settling into their seats, pulling out blankets, closing their eyes. It is the middle of the night. The plane climbs to cruising altitude and enters autopilot mode over the South China Sea. Then, at exactly 1:21 in the morning, something happens that the world still cannot fully explain. The plane disappears. Not because it crashes in front of radar screens. Not because it sends a distress signal. Not because anyone witnesses anything. It simply vanishes. A 200-ton aircraft carrying 239 human beings. And for over a decade, no one has been able to find it. This is the story of flight MH370. And the deeper you go into it, the stranger it gets. The first thing that goes silent is the transponder. This is the device that tells radar systems on the ground exactly which aircraft is in the sky. Without it, the plane does not disappear from every radar, but it becomes anonymous. Just a dot. A few seconds later, the ACARS system also switches off. This is the system that automatically sends engine data and technical information to the airline every 30 minutes. Turning it off is not something that happens by accident. To disable ACARS, a person must go through a specific sequence of steps inside the cockpit. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. At this moment, the plane is flying over the South China Sea, between Malaysia and Vietnam. Vietnamese air traffic controllers try to make contact. They hear nothing but static. Malaysian controllers try as well. Still nothing. For a short time, everyone on the ground assumes it is a technical fault, a radio problem, a small glitch. These things happen sometimes. They expect contact to be restored in minutes. It never is. But what happens next is even harder to understand. Military radar stations, which track objects differently from civilian systems, pick up something extraordinary. The aircraft, instead of continuing on its path toward Beijing, makes a sharp and dramatic left turn. Not a gentle curve, a hard, aggressive banking turn that puts serious physical stress on the aircraft structure. The kind of turn that trained pilots perform with purpose, not by accident, and not because of technical failure. The plane reverses direction entirely and begins flying back across the Malaysian peninsula. Over the next hour, military radar data shows the aircraft doing something that seems almost calculated. It flies along the border between Malaysian and Thai airspace, zigzagging between the two in a way that means each country's controllers might assume the plane belongs to the other. It is the perfect way to cross an entire region without triggering an alarm. Each country sees the dot. Each country thinks someone else is responsible for it. Nobody asks questions. Nobody scrambles jets. The plane also climbs to over 13,000 meters at one point, far above the safe operating range for that aircraft type, before dropping back down to around 7,000 meters. These are not the actions of a plane with a dead crew or a runaway autopilot. These are the movements of someone who knows exactly what they are doing. Who knows exactly what they are doing. At 2:22 in the morning, the aircraft crosses out of all military radar coverage. It enters the open sea north of the Andaman Islands and disappears into complete darkness. Search teams are already gathering near Vietnam, assuming the plane went down somewhere over the South China Sea. They are thousands of kilometers away from where the plane actually is. And now comes the detail that changes everything. A British satellite company called Inmarsat discovers something remarkable. Even though all of the plane's communication systems were switched off, one small piece of equipment kept quietly running. a satellite terminal that was automatically checking in, with a satellite orbiting 35,000 kilometers above the Earth. It was not sending location data. It was not sending any message at all. It was simply doing what it was designed to do, reaching out once per hour to confirm it was still connected. Engineers call these signals handshakes. There were 7 of them in total. And from these 7 small electronic pulses, scientists were able to do something remarkable, using a physics principle called the Doppler effect. The same reason an ambulance siren sounds higher when it is coming toward you and lower when it moves away. They calculated the speed and direction of the aircraft. At each point, the results were shocking. The plane had not gone north towards Central Asia. It had turned south, far south, into one of the most remote, deepest, and most hostile stretches of ocean on the entire planet. The southern Indian Ocean, a place with no islands, no shipping lines, and no witnesses. The last handshake signal was recorded at 8:19 in the morning, more than 7 hours after the plane first disappeared from civilian radar. At that point, the signal cut off mid-transmission. The engines had run out of fuel. The plane had become a glider. And somewhere in the darkness of the southern Indian Ocean, it had gone down. 239 people were still on board. For 508 days, not a single piece of physical evidence was found. The ocean gave nothing back. Then, in July 2015, a man named Johnny Baig was cleaning a beach on Reunion Island, a small French island in the western Indian Ocean, when he found a strange piece of metal washed up on the shore. It was about 2 meters long, covered in barnacles and sea growth, and clearly came from an aircraft. Within days, experts confirmed what many had feared. It was a flaperon, part of the wing, from a Boeing 777. The serial numbers matched flight MH370. The barnacles told a story of their own. Scientists studied the tiny sea creatures attached to the metal and used the chemical composition of their shells to estimate water temperatures during their growth. The results matched the southern Indian Ocean. The ocean currents had carried this piece of wing thousands of kilometers over more than a year. Before it washed up on that beach, more debris followed. Pieces found in Mozambique, South Africa, and Madagascar, all confirmed, all from the same plane. The physical evidence matched the satellite calculations. The plane had gone south. It had ended in the ocean. But where exactly? That question remains unanswered. Search teams scanned over 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor. They sent underwater robots to depths of 6,000 meters, deeper than most submarines can reach. They used the most advanced sonar technology ever deployed in a civilian search operation, and they found nothing. The ocean floor in that region looks like an underwater mountain range. Deep canyons, steep ridges, and powerful underwater currents that carry sediment and can bury objects under several meters of mud within months. The wreckage of MH370 may be sitting right now beneath a layer of ocean floor sediment, completely invisible to any scanner. But the hardest question was never where the plane went. It was why. Investigators searched the lives of everyone on board. They looked at the passengers, the crew, the cargo. One detail kept pulling them back toward the cockpit. Police searched the home of the captain, a 53-year-old man named Zahari Ahmad Shah, and found a sophisticated home flight simulator, built from professional-grade equipment. When forensic experts recovered deleted files from the simulator's hard drive, they found a route that had been practiced weeks before the flight. The route started in Kuala Lumpur, passed over the Andaman Sea, and ended in the southern Indian Ocean. The same arc that satellite data later confirmed. The same empty stretch of ocean where the plane vanished. There was one more detail. As the plane flew silently over the Malaysian peninsula that night, engines running, lights off, communication dead, radar tracking showed a small and brief wing tilt as it passed directly over the city of Penang. Penang was the captain's hometown, the place where he grew up. Some investigators believe that tilt was a goodbye, a final look at home before disappearing forever. No one has ever proven that. No one has ever proven anything with certainty. The official report states that the deviation from the planned route was the result of deliberate human action in the cockpit. But who exactly and why remains officially unknown. Today, new search efforts are being prepared. Private companies are developing artificial intelligence systems to reanalyze every piece of satellite data, radar data, and ocean current data collected over the past decade. Hydroacoustic stations, underwater microphones placed around the globe to detect nuclear explosions, recorded an unusual low-frequency sound in the southern Indian Ocean. On the night of March 8, 2014, that sound has never been fully explained. It may point to a new search area that previous expeditions missed by just a few kilometers. The ocean is enormous, but the search area keeps getting smaller. Somewhere on the floor of the southern Indian Ocean, beneath thousands of meters of cold black water, and possibly buried under years of sediment. The answer to all of these questions is waiting. The black boxes are there. The flight data recorder is there. The cockpit voice recorder, which captured everything said and heard in that cockpit during the final 7 hours, is there. One day, someone will find it. And on that day, one of the greatest mysteries in the history of aviation will finally be solved. Until then, Flight MH370 remains exactly what it has been for over 10 years. A plane that took off on a clear night, carried 239 people into the sky, and simply never came back.